I just love you guys, and I appreciate you being here for us, and I appreciate you doing the things that you're doing, and I appreciate you building this. Please like this episode, as well as every other episode you do enjoy going on right now that I'm very excited about. And I see Doge, and I see the realignment of the educational system coming together for a real unique opportunity that we haven't had in a long time. And that's exciting more and more each day. It all comes back to coming back to yourself, taking you have three brains, right? You have the brain of the head, you have the brain of the heart, and you have the brain of the gut, gut instinct, right? I would love to really be able to get into some comfortable situations where we can start feeding back into the community that we haven't had in a long time. If we take the right approach, we have the ability to really dramatically affect not only the children growth, we could start turning revenues and rolling them into, for instance, here in this small town, seeing what kind of effects we have. We have coming up very shortly, as much as we should. And I think this is probably the strongest because it has emotion as well. And then those two signal to the brain to send out the chemicals that do the work that needs to be done according to whatever I have already talked a little bit about it with Emma on Emma Lynn and Grandpa Rodd. Oh, you know what? I messed that up. I did not have me on stage. Let me show you what I was doing here. Producer Barbie's on. She'll remember these. I won't go through the whole song. I was just playing it up. Producer Barbie, and we have especially back in Chicago, Ladera Ranch. I would kind of play around with singing a little bit, and she would, she can play some beautiful, beautiful music on the keyboards there. How y'all doing? This is Rod Duff, your host of Insights and Straight Talk. This is our continuing. Oh wow, we already have 45 people on. I hope you heard me tinkling the keys there a little bit. Friday we can review. We're going to have an open mic. I'm going to give you a little opening talk here. I'm going to switch you over to camera 4. Let me bring this up. First of all, we're on camera 4. First of all, we had Simon sent me a email over the evening, and we have a lot of emails that he and I go back and forth with quite a bit. But he was commenting on this show, or this format, I should say, not necessarily specifically this show. So Friday Week in Review is a continuous way for us to review the shows that we've done over the past week, which I'll get into in a minute. I want to read this that Simon sent. Actually, let me come back here to the stereo, to the camera 1. I gotta figure out how to fix that light. See that? See, this is coming off of my reading, my teleprompter, and my glasses are so reflective. You see, they pick up the lights there, and if I bring this teleprompter back, it really pulls a lot of light in, which is great for my eyes, but not so much for the aesthetics of the show. So let's do this. I'm going to get into a little bit of what we're going to be talking about in the show coming up, and then But first, I'm going to read this. Simon sent me this from a thought leader, Derek Thompson, and it's regarding the future of podcasts/broadcasts. When podcasts got started, they were radio for the internet. They really appealed to me. By the way, he has a podcast and he writes, and we'll see more about it in a minute. But he was voted in the top 100 podcasts in the world, at least the country. Let's find out here. This really appealed to me when I started my show. I never watched the news on television, and I love listening to podcasts while I make coffee and go on walks. And I prefer to make the sort of media that I consume. Plus, as a host, I thought I wanted to have conversations focused on substance of the words rather than the ancillary concerns about production value and lighting, which, I deal with on a daily basis. And, we aren't aesthetically perfect, nor do we necessarily want to be. But the most successful podcasts these days are all becoming YouTube shows. Boom, that's what we do. So we stream out on all the different social medias. Industry analysts say consumption of video podcasts is growing 20 times faster than audio-only ones. And more than half of the world's top shows now release video versions. YouTube has quietly become the most popular platform for podcasts, and it's not even close. On Spotify, the number of video podcasts has nearly tripled since 2023, and video podcasts are significantly outgrowing non-video podcasts. Does it really make sense to insist on audio-only podcasts in 2025? I don't do and never have done any audio-only podcasts. Because I agree that consumption is both through the eyes as well as through the ears. Communication, the words are only 8% of what you're actually communicating. So I'm still really horrible. I need help. I need a producer. I don't think so. So I've always done video broadcast or podcast. Some people call them vlog. I hate that word, video, vlog. I know that's kind of still hanging around, but I just call this a podcast with my peeps, with my tribe, with our tribe, us together, our community. Really is screaming loud in my ear, and it's the message. It's clear podcasts are turning into television. So let's come down here and let's go to, let me come back. Might as well see me instead of that never-ending mirror thing. So let's go up to here, and this is a presentation I made for us today. Hope you enjoy. Oh, by the way, I was saying the piano producer Barbie, if you're on, certainly you remember those days around the piano, and I used to love to just listen to her play, and then every once in a while I would jump in and sing some of the songs that she would play, some of the ones that are known. She has a lot of her own music that she does, but we had a so in Ladera Ranch there was that situation, and then in here in Illinois before I moved here to Oklahoma, there was the so you'd walk in and right to the right was our music room. Hardwood floors, beautiful, gorgeous grand piano, not a baby grand, but a grand piano. Harps, we had harps in there and several different musical instruments. And just to the left, if you go straight ahead, you go back to the kitchen, the dining room, the living room, and out the back door, and my office was back there, and so forth and so on. But to the left, you go upstairs, and that's where the bedrooms were, and another office and a couple of things. But when I'm sorry, that was in our first home, well, actually second home. I was there alone by myself for a number of years, back and forth from California to Illinois. And then we got a place in Naperville, and that place is what I'm referring to, as well as and then we moved into our place in Oswego. But in Naperville, there was a staircase that went straight up, and I used to sit on that and just listen to her play for hours. I'd open up the window when she wasn't looking, because she used to get mad if she wasn't as confident about it as she certainly should have been or could have been. Let's move that back here. If you remember, this chair here is for a symbol as people are going to start coming into the. Let me switch over here. Where are we at on? Wow, we have 452 people on. We already have some messages. Got 3 of them going already. Jim Carey, love you, brother, and Ishel. Wow, this discussion and collaboration is needed right now, and I know what you're referring to. You're referring to what I'm getting to in this week in review, because we're going to be talking about the collaboration. 450 people on. Hey, I appreciate you guys being on. I love you guys. Collaboration we're talking about is with eLeaf Labs and the Regeneration School Project. And yes, it is needed, and we are going to be talking about political events of today. We have a piece in the Middle East. Finally, thank you to our president, who's done a wonderful job, in my opinion, in bringing this together. I believe that next he'll eliminate. These are all wars that are on his watch, but started by the previous. And I say started, that might be a little harsh, but I don't think it's that harsh. And again, I'm an independent. I'm cheering for the crowd that's in the office, because the better they do, the better we do. This one, again, I'll stay with trust but verify, but I got to tell you, doing a hell of a job right now. And there's a whole shutdown going on. It's a bunch of political games. We'll get into all that after a bit. Let me switch over. 450 people on. We've got about a half a dozen questions. I'm going to switch over to here and bring this. Where are you at? I'm going to bring this on, and we're going to talk about how this show is going to go today. So if you see here, these are all my different. So what I do is I write up a script, and then I put it through my automation, my AI. In this case, it's ChatGPT 5.0, and I'm going to send a login to this for producer Barbie, because she's starting to use ChatGPT. She uses the free version, which is awesome and very good, and we'll talk all about why that is. All this was started by Elon Musk, as well as many other things. PayPal, the Star, I forgot what that's called. Stargate? I don't think it's called Stargate. That was a movie or a show, but much less Tesla and the rockets and X. And well, he bought that. He didn't start that. But anyway, let's go on. So Friday, today, starting right now, here we go. Insights and straight talk. Good morning, the great middle class. As you know, I'm Rod Duff alongside myself, and this is our Friday week in review. Every week we shine a light on the voices shaping our nation, and today we're reviewing an incredible lineup of shows. The new revolution. It's political. It's personal. It's not political. It is personal. So jump in the comments, share your insights as you've already started doing, and let's talk about what's really shaping our country, from politics to purpose. So on Monday, we're going to relaunch Coffee and Tea Time. And that's what some of you are commenting on already, where Simon and I, every Monday, we're going to be getting together. We'll have our weekly review meeting. And in that weekly review meeting, we discuss the plans and the steps being taken and need to be taken at that point for moving ahead the programs that we're putting together that help shape and will shape the world to come. And I'll show you why I say that in a minute. Together, we unveiled the next phase of the Regeneration School project in Mangum, Oklahoma, where Simon and myself and his team at Leaf Lab are helping teens and teachers learn through agile classrooms, visual work systems, and life skills-based education. I'll dive into this a little bit deeper in a minute. Together, we're providing the next generation. We're proving that the next generation doesn't need to pass tests. They need to build confidence, creativity, and character. Hang on, look who's on the phone here. Oh, you can't see it. Hold on. Hey, Emma, I'm on a show right now. I put you on speaker. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
So, can I call you back or something real quick? Is this about the car?
Yeah.
All right. I'll call you back after a bit if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm just starting the show, so probably right about an hour from now I should be available for you, girl.
Okay.
All right. Say bye to everybody.
Bye.
All right. Hey, that was a pleasure. We got a sneak preview from our sneak hello from Emma Lynn. Tomorrow you'll see Emma Lynn and Grandpa Rodd with Simon. We're going to be chatting about and continuing on the show itself that now is becoming a weekly program. The program has been going on for 11 episodes now with just Emma Lynn and myself. And Simon is joining in to add a little extra flavor. As we talked about earlier, this chair right here, which is a symbol of when the teenagers are coming on, and the piano I was playing for you earlier, that stage is where we'll be positioned, and people out here in the audience will come up one at a time to chat with Emma. And so we're trying to build that program. But back on Monday, where Simon and his team at Leaf Lab are helping teens and teachers learn through agile classrooms, visible work systems, and life skills based on their education. Together, we're providing the next generation, proving that the next generation doesn't need to just pass tests. They need to build confidence, creativity, and character. That's why Emma Lynn is so valuable in this program that we do with her every week, because she has a certain confidence and a certain she's got an old soul in that she's well beyond her 16-year-old life so far. We all know what teenagers are awesome and full of potential, but not necessarily ready to interact with adults and find their voices. Where Emma, because of her parents and their relationship all together, have really developed a unique, in my opinion, now I'm biased, but I know a lot of families, right? And if you take a look at that, you really see the difference in how interactions can be. We have children, and then we raise them, or we parent them, or we just have children and go about our lives and do the best we can. We've had people on this show that say people do as good as they can, but they still need to make an income and this and that. Well, I know a particular family, Emma's family, who do all that, but still and very active in the church, but there's still that connection within the family, within the relationship between child and parent, because her parents raise and parent her, as well as her own DNA that allows her to be within a space that is, she talks about bullying. If somebody bullies or somebody's trying to give you peer pressure, let's use that as an example. I love some of the things that she says about that when people ask, well, what if somebody's peer pressuring you to do drugs or do this or do that? You know, and her comment is this, that if that's the case, they're not your people. You know, they're not, if they're pressuring you into something that you know is not right or wrong, or however you want to say that, then that means that you're with a group of people that you really don't belong with. And it's time to make that change. And the same thing goes later in life. You know, I mean, if you look at later in life, you have situations where people you're growing. You have a group of friends, okay, and you're growing. I showed you a piece a little bit ago where the social media piece. It was a short little clip, and it's a camera that's on a young lady. I don't know, probably in her early 30s, maybe. And she's sitting they're like in a diner, you know, one of those round table things, and you could hear the friends talking off camera, and the shot is straight on her, and as they're talking, you can see her reactions, and just kind of her you could see her mind working and talking to herself. And then a voice comes on that's a voiceover and says, or it's a writing that says, the moment you realize these are no longer your people. And that's what happens. I mean, if you're growing and the friends that you have at the time are not, then you're going to be growing past that group of friends. And as such, there's a point in time where it's time to leave them and say goodbye. And the reason being is, at a certain point, if you're not growing together, if you're not having the same values if your values are maturing and growing and evolving and theirs are not, then there's going to be a point in time where that's not the right group of people for you or individual person for you at the time. At this time moving forward. So just moving on, together we're proving the next generation doesn't need to pass tests. What they need is to build confidence, creativity, and character. And yeah, please keep continuing making comments. You guys are amazing. Let's go back over here. You guys are amazing. We're at 450 people still. We've got roughly a dozen questions to get into here in a minute, but just sliding through the week here. So as we continue on, next week, Dr. Douglas Estrada, founder of Silver Scrubs, in Tuesday of next week, we dive deep into the hidden health threats of our modern world with the doc and pioneer generation regenerative medicine and EMF protection. Just take a look here. His invention, Silver Scrubs, the world's first EMF shielding antimicrobial medical apparel, is reshaping how doctors and patients think about safety and energy exposure. He's really into, and Ronaldo, if you're on, we were talking about this earlier, really into the modern medicine where you actually take your certain cells in your body and you inject them back into the body to heal and regenerate. In her case, her knees. One is taken and one is still a couple more. I don't know what you call them, Ronaldo. A couple more sessions where she needs to have that injected back into her knee to continue that on. we'll talk more about that in a little bit. His story, from injury to paralysis to full recovery, reminded us is going to be reminding us of the healing. It begins when you listen to the body's own intelligence. We are protecting our health with the same vigilance as we protect our technology. So, and then Monday we're on the 20th. We have a show coming up about mental health, and yesterday we did a preview of that show, and it's about her memoir, Unbroken, and it's going to be a fascinating show. The preview was dynamic. We had over 500 people on yesterday. Mental health, as you know, 70% of Americans, or at least Americans, much less the world, children and adults suffer from mental illness. Unbroken takes us from childhood trauma and family dysfunction to triumph and peace, inner peace within. She reminds us of the resilience, that resilience is contagious. Healing isn't private, it ripples outward. And when we share our pain, we lead others towards freedom. During that discussion, we talked about how can we make trauma and mental illness less of a stigma. Well, here we go. This is a perfect way to say that. Healing, it's not private. You talk about it. That's what we were talking about yesterday. Saturday, Voices at the Table. We were just talking to Emma there a second ago. And right now it's Emma Lynn and Grandpa Rodd with guests Simon Holtzfeld. And in that, we're continuing that as a progressive and a progressing show. It's at 11 o'clock. It's actually at 11:35 Central Standard Time. Emma and I return with another Voices Around the Table, or at the table. A youth-led conversation that changes how America sees education, family, and community. We joined again, and we're going to be joined again by Simon as we bring together teens, parents, and educators to explore real-world learning. What would change if every community had its own voices around or at the table? Again, we're leaning back into the Regeneration School Project. On the 14th, AI Life Hacks Revolution. Brandon, my son, and I are. He's an entrepreneur, and he's an influencer and a creator. He's fascinating dude. He's been on the show a number of times already, but now we're starting our own show together. And we actually have a meeting on that later on today. Brandon, myself, and Simon are talking about a number of things that we're doing together. Also, yesterday, if you guys remember, reflecting back on yesterday's show, Ronaldo had made a comment right at the end of the show about bringing on my other son because he's a farmer. Well, he does a number of things. He works for a very large worldwide business and he works from little tiny all the way out to huge, gigantic scaling systems that measure different loads or different products that are going in or out of different areas. And he lives, as you know, in California, and then he also has a chicken farm, ducks, geese. Does he still have geese? He used to have those little suckers. Anyway, he has chickens. I'm going to start growing chickens, and he's influenced Brandon, who's now starting what we're talking about here. We're farming like off your balcony, the how to grow food and set yourself up for under $30 and over a weekend. And but Austin is also an amazing chef. Oh my God. So we're going to have we've talked. After the show, Ronaldo. By the way, I texted my son Austin, and then I said, "Hey, listen, I know we talked about doing this right out of the gate, which we never really followed up on. Either of us really did. We just like, oh yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it? And then we just kind of moved on. But she reminded me of that, and I went back and I hit him up, and he goes, "Yeah, I'd definitely be interested in that." So I'm thinking we're going to do a farming and cooking show. How that looks right now, I don't know, but I'm excited about being able to do that. I love having really talented kids and grandkids, and then having this format where we can all talk together, just more time together, and that's pretty exciting. We're gonna, with Brandon, we're gonna explore the new way to make money in the age of AI, from life hacks to automation to building financial independence. We're going to be talking about crypto, blockchain. We're going to be talking about how we survive, because we're always talking about AI, and we that was one of the first topics on the show. But with so many things going on, we haven't really given that the due justice that it deserves. And that's Brandon's on his show. You can, by the way, you can find him on YouTube, Brandon Duff. BrandonDuff, at Brandon Duff on YouTube. He's got a huge community, and a very active community. Not as good as ours. I doubt he would agree with that, but it's very very exciting what he's done, and he's done a lot to help me in this. So making new ways of making money in today's AI world. Brandon's message is simple. The middle class can't just survive the AI wave. We can surf it. Think about that. We're not just surviving the AI wave. Let's surf it. That's another way of saying, don't just survive, but strive. Are you ready to make technology work for you, not to replace you? Derek Thompson's lens on what we're building. So this is what I was reading to you earlier, and this is Derek Thompson. So the most successful shows aren't just talk; they're television, conversation, and community combined. That's what we are. I mean, I love what he's saying here. He calls it the Great Convergence, where shows like ours bridge journalism, storytelling, and live dialogue. That's exactly what Insights and Straight Talk is doing, blending live stream education and open conversation into something real, raw, and revolutionary. So when you tune in here, you're not watching old media. You're part of a new movement of meaningful media. And I talk about that all the time. It's programs like this, it's platforms like this that really are giving people the ability to learn and to gain knowledge in a world that has up till now been dominated by, let's call it, legacy media that really just skims the surfaces of anything and needs a commercial break in 15 seconds. So what's your final comment kind of thing? I mean, you hear that all the time. So on Wednesday the 15th, Sharifa is coming back on. If you remember on Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday, several days ago, I was on her show and she did a reading of me. And so we're going to flip the script a little bit. She's going to come on to my show and we're going to talk about how what she did, what she does, helps thought leaders, helps industry leaders, and builds their ability to communicate and so the tarot cards that we're talking about, as you know, tarot cards are drawn out of a deck after they're shuffled, and then their energy comes in, and the energy through the cards go, and in that we talked about some things that are expected to be evolving in my own personal life, but in her program and in her uh, execution to her customers, she's a coach, and so she uses that medium to be able to bring out. Because if you remember in that show, it was really interesting how that turned um, into a lesson in how I needed to love myself. Because like we say, we can't give more than we have. There's no way to give more than you have. So working on yourself is critically important. So this coming Wednesday, we're having her back on, and she's the host of Read Me Live, conversation where business meets intuition. And so building that intuition for a better you is what makes a better business partner, manager, and so on. Together, we'll be exploring the purpose-driven entrepreneurs and rebuilding America's great middle class from the inside out through empathy, creativity, and vision. Sharifa's platform, Read Me Live, is about real people, real readings, and real transformation. And next week, I'll be flipping the script on her. I'll turn the spotlight on her as we uncover her intuitive approach and transform the mindset of today's business leaders. Can intuition and strategy work together to build stronger companies and communities? That's the point of that show that we'll be doing on Wednesday. Political pulse of the week. First of all, before I get into my little notes here that I've laid out, just a couple more notes and then I'll get on to the questions here. But hey, we have peace in the Middle East. Congratulations to our administration and the work, once again, of America. And I bring that up only because America, as I always talk about, when we have a healthy, vibrant, great middle class, who, by the way, is the backbone of our economic and our industrial system, any civilized nation, their working class or their great middle class is that vibrant backbone, is that way that particular nation survives and strives. So back to my point, Donald Trump has done an amazing job. Now, Tuesday, the hostages are, by Tuesday, it could be as early as Monday, but I'm guessing more like Tuesday. Now, has Hamas and those, whatever you want to call them, have those people broken promises and all sorts of other things in the past? Sure, absolutely. So it's hopefully they know by now this is their best choice. They have no other choice. This is the best way that Hamas, the leadership. I mean, we actually have people. It's so. The ICE and all the political bullshit that's going on here in our country right now. And let's go, do you remember From the River to the Sea? That whole thing. Do you know that that people in Palestine are literally taking up arms against Hamas in the Gaza Strip? They're tired of it. I don't know why that generation of today, that let's call it from 2025 area, that maybe is close to 30, that group of people that I like to refer back to when I was a kid, the baby boomers, and Vietnam was going on. But these people are fighting against America, where at least the baby boomers back then, it wasn't a great or pretty or anything. But, back then it was, let's get out of Vietnam because we want our country back. We want our country to be focused on the other things and not this killing back and forth of what's happening in Vietnam. Here, the people are saying that I'm embarrassed to be an American. I'm ashamed to be an American. You're a fucking idiot if you're saying that. I'm sorry, but you are. then there's a whole bunch of other things that go around that. But we have peace in the Middle East. Hamas has finally figured. They've known this for a while, but Trump is just literally putting the pressure on them and saying, look, if this doesn't happen, Israel's going back and bombing the shit out of you guys, and there'll be nothing left. And I don't mean the Gazans, the Palestinian people. Unfortunately, because of the evil approach that and now honestly, the cowardly, just pure cowards. You make your headquarters underneath hospitals and inside of people's homes. That's why it disgusts me so much that people here and in certain places have bought into the savage and ugly and untrue stories being told. When it's the, they're talking about how many people have died, and and somebody related that back to Germany and World War II. The Germans were the evil ones, and more of them were killed than were British people, let's say, or anybody else actually. And at that time, this person who was making that comparison, because people are saying, well, there's more people killed, Hamas is being killed at higher numbers than Israeli is. And so he said, okay, World War II, there were more Germans killed. Does that make them not the villain, not the evil ones in World War II? I mean, the arguments being given and being taken in by certain people are just so ridiculous. I can't understand how this continues on. So back to our thing here. In the political piece, as we head into another week of change, our nation continues to wrestle with inflation, AI regulations, and cultural division, plus these other things I was just talking about. But here's what's clear. The great middle class isn't looking left or right anymore. We're looking forward. Pause on that for a second. We're no longer looking left or right. We're no longer looking at, look at this. I'm going to say a couple names here. Look at Chuck Schumer. Look at the oversight committee yesterday, where the DA just literally exposed and laid out all the evils of what's going on in Chicago, of what's going on in California, of what's going on in New York is not as bad as Chicago, but look at what's going on. I say this, and I've said this before. Look at what people want. So when we choose our leaders, and we need to be looking at this right now. Right now, let's look at Chuck Schumer. Is he somebody who wants this country to be better? Is he able to act in ways that make this country better? Or, in this case, is he just lining his own pockets and afraid that he's going to get a run by his extreme left and lose his political seat? So are games being played right now for personal purpose? Or are they, as our founders intended, being done with decisions that are of the people, for the people, and by the people? Or is this Chuck Schumer's way of saying, I want another term in office. I don't want to lose my power and my privilege. I'm going to do what is best for me. I think it's the latter. I think it's that right there. So here's what is clear. The great middle class isn't looking right or left anymore. We're looking straight ahead, and we're looking at you guys, every one of you on both sides of the aisle. I'm not saying that the Democrats are all evil and the Republicans are all perfect. What I'm saying is basically most of them are all evil on both sides. And right now, the power coming out of the right, the Republicans, and the leadership of the current administration are exposing a lot on the left. But there's a lot on the right that is also needing to be exposed. So we're the builders, we're the dreamers. We're the families who refuse to quit. This show is our town hall, our space to think, to speak, and rebuild the foundation of common sense in America. What is the issue that matters most to you right now? What matters most to you? That's what this town hall, let's call it a town hall. That's what this town hall is for and about. What's one solution we can explore together in the coming next week? Call to action. Let's do this. Every comment, every share, every like keeps the movement alive. Together, we rebuild the great middle class. One conversation, one community, one breakthrough at a time. Subscribe. Please subscribe right here at Rodd Duff 1939. Visit my website, roddduff.com, www.roddduff.com. IMS Tri Mechanical is another website that I have that comes from my machinery business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and then I referred to readmelive.com. Stay strong, stay curious, and stay connected, because when the conversation gets honest, transformation begins. So let's go back here. I'm on camera one, still a little over about 450 people on. Looks like we got a couple of dozen questions here. Let's see if Ronaldo's on, Jeffrey Bowman, Mac, Branson. Hey, Branson, how you doing? Jim Carrey. Let's just start it off here. Hey, Jim, how you doing? I swear to God, that's got to be Jim Carrey, the actor Jim Carrey. How'd you guys like my tunes earlier? I was having a little fun. Again, Jim, thank you so much. This conversation on collaboration is so needed right now. Could not agree with you more there, Mr. Carey. We're at about 45 minutes right now. Chell, what's been the biggest political surprise of the week for you? The fact that we have peace in the Middle East. Also, every time there's God, what have there been, like 30 government shutdowns, something like that in our history? Maybe it's even more than that. The biggest surprise is that Hamas finally gave up, and that the hostages, the dead ones, kids, children, dead, are being given back to their families, and I think there's 28 that are alive still out of the original hundreds and hundreds of them. And some that have already been released by force and pressure. I mean, think about that. You have people, you have an army. Let's call them an army. I think that's overselling it, but you have an army that literally takes people, citizens, hostage. Think about this. This is an army. An army takes people hostage and uses them as body shields so that the cowards can't be hurt, because the real civilized people are concerned about hurting others. And yes, civilians, there are casualties in war that are horrible, and that's one reason that I know is one reason that Mr. Trump, President Trump, hates war. To see death for no reason, for political gain. You realize that all these wars throughout time have been over religious reasons or politics of one nation trying to gain from another nation by bullying them, by taking them over. It's been a disgusting part of the human experience. So the peace in the Middle East is a surprise. It happened. We have a We have an agreement that that has taken on, I think, half of the 20-point plan that Trump put out, and they've accepted that. And the hostages, boy, I tell you what, there's going to be hellfire if those hostages aren't released by Tuesday. I can guarantee you. And then the other being the government shutdown. Not that it happened, but that, you know, normally when there's a shutdown, like I said, there's been 30 or so, or whatever their actual numbers are, and throughout history. And always the Republican loses whether they're in the right or wrong, for whatever reason that is, they lose the narrative. The Democrats, they're very good. They're very good at a couple of things. Let me just put it that way. And this time, I think the people are sick and tired of their games in this. They are, I believe, losing. I mean, Chuck Schumer actually said that, and I'm saying him a lot because, you know, he actually said, the longer this goes on, the better it is for us. Who's he talking about there? Is it really better for the militaries, the people that aren't being paid, for the government workers that aren't being paid, you know, that are working for free while he sits there and slams his hand on the table and says, you give me this. He wants $1.5 trillion for illegal aliens. That's what they're holding this out for. You know, and Chuck's afraid that the radical left in his party is going to, you know, push him out of office. That's why he's doing all this shutdown stuff. And I mean, 4 Democrats have already signed on, said, look, I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm agreeing, because what are they doing? It's a CSR, a continuing resolution. In other words, it's a document that says, we'll debate this other stuff that you're holding the American hostages for. Again, hostages. They're holding us hostage. You know, is this of and for and by the people, Mr. Schumer? Really? Is it? Is it? I don't hear anything. Is it? I'm sorry. I'm pounding on the Democratic side of the table here this morning, and I don't normally do that. But to me, it's just blatantly obvious. I mean, even CNN and the legacy other medias, MSNBC, not really, but they're leaning a little bit that way. Even they are saying, what an amazing win in having peace in the Middle East. And they're saying, really? You guys got to keep this going on? What is it, 11 days now, I think it is, 10 or 11 days now? You know, there's a point in time where you just got to have some balls and do something that isn't just for yourself. You know, and come on, Chuck, dude, if you lose your power, you've got hundreds of millions of dollars stashed away in different places. You're not gonna have any issues. Your life's gonna be fine. What about the people that are living, which are most people, living paycheck to paycheck? What about government workers that are living paycheck to paycheck, or you know, have mortgages and children to feed? What about them, Chucky? What about them? Any thoughts on that? Yeah, I'm kind of pissed about this. So let's move on. So Branson, hey Branson, how you doing? One of my top fans, actually. How do you think collaboration can truly change our learning systems? Well, look at school teaches you how to take tests. It doesn't prepare you for life. What school needs to do is prepare you for life, along with your family. Parents need to parent, but schools need to be able to give you purpose, to help you find the shape of your purpose, help you find your voice, help you with finances, learning about finances. I talked about producer Barbie, who took a business class as an elective because none of the other electives, she had come in late the school system, and the only thing left was this business class, and it literally shaped her world. She's a financial icon, I'll call it. She's very, very intelligent, and she reflects back to that high school class that really kind of started her that way. And she didn't want to go into it at all. She's like, "This is all I can do. Are you serious?" And she had to do it, and she did it, and she went, "Whoa, okay." So that collaboration that we're working on is bringing the power of multiple voices and multiple experiences to be able to add this fifth core into the school system: math, English, history, science, and life. We have some of this in health, in that health will talk about mental health, but it doesn't get into how, why, what, and where. It just is what is mental health, and you can call it an 800 number if you need it. That's like legacy media. It's just skimming the surface. We need deeper systems in place. Jared, how you doing, man? Do you believe in the EMF issue is getting enough public attention? No, that's why we're having the doctor on. EMF is another of those systems that are underused for sure, that we need more of, that we need, that is what this platform is about. It's about having information. The elite have a lot more access to information than the great middle class. And there's nothing wrong with that. They have more influence, power, money, and access. So that's what this show is about, Jared. And so we're shining more and more lights on these types of subjects. Mac, how you doing, man? What's one small step we can take today for better wellness habits? Good question. Walk every day. I've lost. I had a motorcycle accident, broke every bone on this side of my body. Teeth, split my head wide open. Road rash. You can see there. My knees, all the way down this side of my scapula. This part is all steel. Like each of my ribs were broken into 6, 7, 8 pieces, and now I have all this metal holding them all together. But I was at my high. I was 289 pounds, and I'm down to 200 and. I'm somewhere. I haven't weighed myself in the last week, but I was down to 219. I think I'm probably about 215-ish in that range, and there's only so far I should go because you get, that's something else. We need to change. What is a healthy weight for a person? The way we do it now, and technically I'm supposed to be 100. I think it's 180 pounds, so that my BMI, in other words, being obese, I'm probably still considered, I don't know if I'm still considered obese, but, and I was for sure, but I mean, 220 is a really good weight for me, I think, and always has been. I know that I was down to 190 when Barbie and I were first together when I was in my 40s. And at 190, I was at 9% body fat. I wrestled in high school at 170 to 180 in those ranges, 177, 180.5. That was my wrestling weight, high school into college, and the Olympics. So that's where I was. So I come from an athlete, and then, I just continued to eat, not work out, and my weight built up, and then I had my motorcycle accident, had a stroke, all sorts of things, all sorts of fun little shiny things. So one small step would be, I started this all off with fasting. I fasted several days a week, and all I did was drink water. And that started me on this. So fasting, I believe in very, very, very much so. It's helped me even still today. I do it still regularly today. Not every day, not all the time. Not on the. I used to have an app. I still have the app, but and I would track my fasting, and I did that for a year plus. So fasting is definitely something I think is very good for you, because it really cleans out your system. It really does a lot of good things for you. And then I walk every day. I obviously have a car, but being here in town, I'm less than a mile from my studio to my home. So I take that walk, and I do it for multiple reasons. One, so I can see and say hi and chat with people along the way, but also so that I can get that additional health benefit. So yeah, Mac, I mean, I'd say at the very least, I would recommend fasting, and I would recommend daily walks. And I say that because anybody can do those things. You can get into training, you can get into all sorts of things, but if you're not doing any of that now, then I would suggest that you do that moving forward. If you're not doing anything now, I would suggest starting in that. Which topic from this week hit you the hardest? Good question. Well, I think the tarot cards really. I mean, I instantly said, "Hey, let's do a show on my show." I mean, when I was on her show, I streamed out to you folks, but I'd say that show, the topic there, which was taking my own personal experiences through tarot cards, and then learning some life lessons from that. Excuse me, sorry about that. From that, I think that one from this week hit me the most. Next week's going to be really power packed. That's going to be a subject that's going to be a week that is packed with subjects that are going to be fascinating. The EMF I'm really excited about on Tuesday. Stem cells, that's where that work started, and now he's expanding that message out into clothing that is good for you. Do you think media transparency has improved or worsened lately? Legacy media slightly improved. I mean, like thin razor line slightly improved because they're getting so much pressure. What's interesting to me what's interesting to me is this type of media. Me, and everybody else, like on both sides, there's still, I mean, I've seen some media sources that were highly left and very, in my opinion, dangerous still, because, I mean, when Charlie Kirk was killed, I'm amazed that anybody came out at all in a negative form, whether you liked him or not, or believed in anything that he said or not. I'm shocked that didn't just instantly change everybody. The extreme left actually cheered and partied and celebrated, and talk show hosts like me on the extreme left, some of those that were on the extreme left, went off and used that as a victory lap, which to me is bizarre and freaky and just shows how dangerous the world is still today. So in some ways it has not improved, but it also, in some ways, it's starting, you can feel it. It's starting to improve. It's starting to get a sense that there is starting to become a sense that people are starting to finally understand that they're not in a bubble, that there's a society and a human existence. We're, like I said the other day, we're social animals. We need to be out and communicating. COVID was probably one of the worst things that happened to us because it really drove us. And I say COVID, I don't want to get into why I'm saying what I'm saying right now, but just from the way I'm saying what I'm saying right now, just understand that there's something bigger about that. So, do you think media transparency has improved? So, yeah. Hey, Lanrick, thank you very much for your information. Leia, love this woman. She's really coming on a lot lately. Do you think tech companies should take more responsibility for EMFs? Don't know the answer to that yet. I got to wait until we have the show when the expert's on. I'd love to be able to help you out with this, but right now I don't have a proper. I'm not ready or equipped to give you a proper answer. So Leia, I think it's on Wednesday is when that show is. Come in. I know it's in what's coming up in the next week or so, but I think next week you watch the show and you're going to get your answer. Let's go down. Last show, our adventure show. Great show as always. Thanks for keeping it real. I appreciate it. Had a little fun today. A little disorganized today. I don't know that it was as smooth as I had planned for it to go. I had a little trouble with a few things, and that made what I was talking about a little less capable. And here on Insights and Straight Talk, I'm your host, Rod Duff.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.